So, we are going to do questions with a bloody F mess. How many remains to be seen. The first one, I just kind of want to get an understanding of what you've done, and I know you've done some diverse music as far as releases, from sixth grade field trip in 1990 to Dark Days Unfazed, Bloody F Mess from this year. What is in between? And I know it's a lot, but can you just give a rundown of what's been put out from 1990 to 2024?
Oh my lord, man! I wish I would have known. I would have had a little list prepared, but I'll try to go from memory. 1990, we had sixth grade field trip with Bloody Mess in the Scabs. 1994, we had Bloody Mess in the Scabs' second album, and it was called Hungover and Stoned. The third album, with myself being on, the third full length would have been, oh boy, I want to say Bloody in the Veins in 1999. There's three. Then probably Bloody in the Transfusions in 2005. Then there was Bloody in the Anti-Rockstar in 2009. Then there was Bloody in the Hollow Bodies live album in 2010. Bloody Mess Rock Circus in 2013, Transcend spoken word album and music album 2015. There's 8. And then I also did, the Divine Dirt album came out in 2018, and Dark Days Unfazed. There's 10 albums that I've done in 40 years.
So, in addition to the albums, there have been some 7-inch releases and things like that, right?
Yeah, I've actually put out quite a few 7-inch releases, or should I say various record labels across the USA and abroad too. I have released 7 inches as well as my own label, Fanatic Records. Yep, the first 7-inch came out in 1989, or was it 88? I forget. It was Bloody Mess in the Scabs, 1988. First 5-song 7-inch. And then, of course, there was the empty 7-inch, 1992. Then there was the live 7-inch, which was only out in Germany on No Risk, No Fun Records. And then, of course, Bloody in the Country Trash Punks 7-inch on Baloney Shrapnel Records in 1995. Bloody in the Veins with the Psychedelics split 7-inch on Fanatic Records in 1997, 98, I believe. Bloody Mess and Hate 2018. I'm Glad Sid's Dead on Puke and Vomit Records. That finally came out on vinyl. And I think that's it. I'm not sure, but I think that's most of my 7-inch records. Knowing me, I probably forgot one or two. I am on a bunch of 7-inch compilations and things like that too.
Well, and I know there's been also several compilations as well, and I don't expect you to go into or remember all those if you don't, but maybe just a couple of those that are.
Yeah, All for One for All, which was a tribute and a way to make money for the singer for Agnostic Front, Roger Murray, who was a friend at the time, and a lot of us in the punk community, from like bands like Raw Power to just Adrenaline OD, I believe, was on there. Just tons of bands that were pretty well known in the punk scene volunteered to put songs on this CD, and I got a cut on there with Bloody Mess and Hate. Also, we were on the Music to Make Your Ears Hurt compilation, volume 1, 2, and 3 on Black and Blue Records. We were on, what other compilation albums? There were definitely other ones. Concrete and Cornfields, of course, that Fanatic Records put out. I had songs on there. And there was others too, but I just don't have a list in front of me.
And don't be shy or whatever, but you also had a tribute CD put out to you as well, right?
I did.
Put you on the spot here, so.
Yeah, the people that put it out don't even like me anymore. So for me to talk about it, it's almost like bittersweet. But yeah, there is a tribute CD out that came out. Tribute CD came out in 2003 on Black and Blue Records. There's like 20 bands or 20 cuts on there with a lot of really good bands covering songs that I had written or written the lyrics for. But there's a couple of originals on there by me that are pretty cool. There's one called Rock and Roll Scallywag, which was written by Wes Beach, my friend, and also one of the guitar players for the Plasmatics. And Wes Beach and I co-wrote that song together. Of course, Dave Glover gets all the credit for actually recording the music on that song. Great guy, Dave Glover. Awesome guitar player. Yeah. So the tribute CD was a really fun CD. There's a lot of really good bands on there that I really liked. And I loved a lot of those versions of the songs. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful that that came out. Regardless of any personal things that happened before, during, after the making of it, I'm really grateful for that album and for the people that put it out and the people that are on it.
Okay, I'm going to move on. And I don't know. I guess this could be a little bit of a touchy subject. I don't know. I'm actually looking forward to hearing your answer because I don't know. I know a few years ago, or it's been quite a few years ago, you had a wiki page out, and I know a lot of people use Wikipedia for research, which it's kind of just the start of research. It's just check out your basic stuff and then go see if those things are actually true, because it is Wikipedia.
Anytime you search anybody, there's a Wikipedia page. And I never had my own. I never started a Wikipedia page. But I had one for a long time that somebody had started. And one time someone said to me, "It's pretty cool. You've got your own wiki page." And I'm like, "I do?" And so that was neat, man. It was up for a long time. And then one day I went to it, and one of my bitter, jealous exes and somebody else, who knows, decided to go on there, and that's back before you had to be accountable for whatever you do on Wiki. I guess nowadays I hear if you go on there, it shows who does what to alter what.
You can't just edit it.
Right. But back in the day, anybody could, which I didn't even know any of this stuff, man. I would just go to Wiki or see Wiki, but I didn't have a Wiki that I created. So one day I went there and there was a Wiki, and I was like, yeah, I'm flattered, man. And it had, most of my, actually it was Bloody Mess and the Scabs Wiki, I believe. Yeah, it was Bloody Mess and the Scabs. It wasn't just Bloody FS. So that's true, I think. But somebody had altered it to say all this derogatory stuff about me, and everything on there was a complete lie, and I was like, wow. It was almost psychopathic. So I literally was the one to have the thing taken down. So I didn't put that up, but I did have it taken down, and I'd rather not have any wiki page at all if there's going to be one that's slandering me. And
that was my next question, are you going to create your own?
I wouldn't have any idea how to create a wiki page. I have no idea.
It's not that important anyway.
Yeah. If somebody wants to create a wiki page for me, please contact me. Yeah, that'd be fun. I've done enough stuff to have a wiki page. I use it quite often.
To move on, another thing that I'm going to touch on, probably more than once, just because I know it will come up. You and Gigi Allen were acquaintances or friends from about 83, 85, something like that, to 91, 92?
83 to... Probably 83 is when we met, and the last time I saw Gigi was sometime in 91, yes.
Okay. And you were in Unaccepted, which became Hate, your first band, when you met him, right?
I think so. I think it was Chips Patrol, which turned into Unaccepted, and that's when I wrote him and became friends in around 83. And then by the time he came here to play, or came to Illinois to play with my band at that time was Bloody Mess and Hate, or Hate at the time. I don't even think it was Bloody Mess and Hate. But yeah, he came, and that was a fun show.
Now, that was the infamous VFW and Creve Corps show, right?
Yeah, July 31st, 1985. That's a story that's coming, folks.
And at that point, so you had been in a band for a few years.
Yeah, by the time I met him. When I met him, I was in a band for a couple of years or a year or two. But my first band, which never really gets credit, was 1980 in high school.
What was that band?
There was no band name, no gigs, just four guys that got together and rehearsed a lot. I can tell you we did cover songs, and we did like 5 or 6 songs. And one of them was Jumping Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones. We did Baba O'Reilly by the Who. We did, God, that's it, the only two I remember.
That's like deep lost information right there.
Yeah, I think we might have done Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent. I can't remember.
Well, and that was leading into, you mentioned it about the infamous VFW Creep Core show, but your live shows, and I know this just from seeing them myself, and through various videos and internet clips, things like that. That your live shows have always been extremely high energy, to put it mildly, often unpredictable, and very physical. But there have been times like during the Renegades, when you did Outlaw Country for, gosh, at least a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And
it was awesome.
Well, those shows were great. That was a great band. I think, gosh, the Renegades was just a good lineup of musicians, but they weren't what you would call your typical shows like you had done before that.
It was a complete 360.
Yes. And what do you prefer? Do you have a preference, like, for doing that kind of show and that type of music versus what you would call, I guess, the more hard rock, punk, whatever stuff?
Well, most of my life has been high energy punk rock, so I'd prefer that. But that being said, like right now, if I had a choice, I'd love to have a really awesome blues country, outlaw country blues band. But in about a year, I'd probably get the itch to do rock and roll, and it would morph into a rock thing, just like the Renegades did. But I really enjoy singing like stuff that's got a different vocal monotone, like when we did covers like The Doors or Hank Jr., stuff like that. That vocal range is stuff that I like to sing, and then we would spill over into like Muddy Waters or Howlin' Wolf stuff. And it was kind of neat to experiment, because we would do literal vocal practices in the Renegades where we would just practice 3-part harmony vocals for like 3 hours or an hour and a half, 2 hours. No instruments, just voices. And that's when I truly learned how to do vocals. So my career was weird because I did the Country Trash Punks record before I actually learned how to really sing. And then once the Renegades started after that, I really did learn how to sing. And so it became fun to sing in these bars 3 nights a week to get paid, at least $100, $125 myself for singing for a few hours back in the mid-90s, and actually paying the rent each month because of it. It was cool. I liked it, man. It was fun.
Now, you caught some shit from some people for doing that. Various things like, yes, he's a
sellout.
He's a sellout. And the supposed punk purists or whatever they want to call themselves, whatever.
Punk politics. Ooh, it's so fun.
How do you feel about that when you've read things or heard things like that over the years, or even back then? Do you just let it kind of slide off, or what do you have to say to that?
Somebody said to me yesterday, I was talking to someone, and we were talking about Green Day, for instance, and I said, hey, look, if I was playing the music they were playing back in the days when they were down in San Francisco and LA or wherever they were playing, and they were doing their thing, and someone paid them money, whatever that amount is, to do just what they're doing, and it seems to me they kind of stayed the same, I would have done the same thing if I were them. Some people say that's selling out. I say that's getting lucky and cashing in, because what about the fan that works for McDonald's or Domino's Pizza that's saying they're sellouts? Well, you're working for a corporation. You're kind of the sellout. These guys are at least still doing what they love and getting paid well for it. So I don't know, man. I don't like punk politics, and I think just do what you got to do, and you have to live with your own actions and whatever decisions you make. So whatever. But that selling out crap, whatever. It's on a per person basis. You know what I mean? There's no definitive selling out. It's.
Well, and in a way, and you pointed this out in the past, I know, in interviews, when you did, Outlaw Country, there's some really strong parallels between Outlaw Country and punk rock.
Well, my good friend, rest in peace, Dean Dirt from 1096 Kenosha Hardcore. Dean Dirt used to say there's a thin parallel between Outlaw Country and punk. And I thought, yeah, that's so true. And I don't know if he said this or not, but I think he said the only difference, or maybe I said this, I don't know. The differences between the two are basically two things. The beat of the music, punk and outlaw country, the beat's different. And the style of clothes that generally the crowds that are into those wear. But sometimes they even intersect, really. But I know a lot of punks that really love outlaw country. And I know a lot of outlaw country people that love punk. But it's not like a majority thing, you know. It's rare to have someone that's really that diverse, but let's face it, some people are.
And you haven't actually played out live, and well, the whole COVID thing happened. You played a show, I believe, just before everything was shut down in 2020, early 2020,
March 14th, 2020, Black Sheep Pub, Ashland, Oregon. That was literally the day that everyone in the country said no more public gatherings, and people were freaking. Some people were not listening. Some people were hyper listening. And we had to make a decision that night. Do we play the gig? It was Divine Dirt. We had our new lineup. We had our keyboard player, Ariana, that we just added. We had Moreno, our new guitar drummer. We had David Valley on guitar. We had you yourself on backing vocals. And we had Chris on bass, and the band was sounding really cool. And so we made a decision, let's do this, man, and call it, in my mind, it was like the last hurrah, because I knew stuff's not going to go back to normal. This is it, man. So we had been rehearsing, and I knew that all of a sudden when this happened, I said, let's just go rock. And about 70, I don't know, maybe 70 people showed up to the gig. There probably would have been double that had there not been stay home. And that was it, man. And ever since March of 2020, I've done one live show, and that was in September 2022, opening for Richie Ramone at the Black Sheep Pub, same place Divine Dirt played at. And
Which was a packed show.
It was packed, yeah. There was a couple hundred people. There was like 200 room limit. And I put together a one-time band called the Punk Rollers, and we did one song from each of my 9 albums, and of course now I have 10 albums. But that was the last time I played out, man, with the band.
Do you see yourself playing live in the future?
I don't, because I just don't think it's realistic. I mean, I don't really even drive a car anymore. I don't really operate in the financial system like I used to. Things have changed. The whole system has changed. Our infrastructure, my infrastructure, the logistics of having a band are kind of hard, man. You have to have a lot of money and a lot of sources, and unless you have a name, it's really hard to sustain that. I mean, I know punk bands that are, quote, famous that tell me they don't make money, that they just break even. They do it because they love it. I can't do that, man, because I can't sustain my life that way. So
So it wouldn't be out of the question, though, to say that you might possibly in the future, if the right people were to come along, and say that, the blues, rock blues thing were to come to fruition.
That would be cool, like a local thing playing Oregon, or if a band wanted to learn my material in another part of the country, for instance, and say learn a set list, they coordinate with me, and then they practice the hell out of it, and then we set up a 3, 4, 5 date mini tour. I could fly in. I've done that before several times with bands. That would be one of the ways that could happen, is if somebody said, hey, we've got a band here in Kentucky or whatever, and then rehearse the hell out of the set. We play Illinois, Kentucky, and 3 states around it, and I fly in, I fly out. Other than that, probably not, man.
No, I kind of wanted to mention this before, but someone else actually put this in a Church of Rock message, and it was kind of a question, but weren't you at one time, I think back when you were with Bloody in the Veins, weren't you being scouted by a major label at that time? And
Epic Records.
Yes, and can you just give briefly kind of what happened with that?
Yeah, I was sitting on the air working for WWCT Radio, Rock 106 in Peoria, Illinois.
Because you're a DJ as well.
I started DJing, broadcasting in the year 1999. That was the year I started the Veins with all these great musicians. Actually, no, I'm wrong about that. I think the Veins started in 97 as the cover band. But by 99, we had recorded an album, which was getting radio airplay with a song called My Black Little Heart. And anyway, that was getting a lot of airplay on about 17 radio stations across the country because our label, Black and Blue Records, at the time was sending me all the charts and places it was being played. Well, we had a CD release party at the Madison Theater in Peoria. The label flew out from Rhode Island. It was kind of a big deal. It was fun. And then one night, I'm on the air because I'm on from midnight to 6 a.m. every night of the week for a while. I got a call at like 2 in the morning from a guy in Wisconsin who was one of the guys that worked in business at Epic Records. And he was one of the people that was responsible for signing Mudvayne from the same area who had just gotten signed. Well, they called me on the air at Rock 106 and said that, hey man, did you know that we'd been scouting your band? And I'm like, I did not know that. And they're like, yeah, we're having a problem in marketing because we don't know where to put you. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, we see you as a cross. They said this. We see you as a cross between